Hello and welcome everyone to podcast 8. I do apologise in the way that it's been for this podcast. This podcast was originally going to be with Patch, Premiership Action Combat Hardship, but due to other circumstances they had to cancel. So they are going to come on at another point. But then in light of some incidents that have happened this weekend in Haverfordest, I'm sure that some of you that live in Pembrokeshire are sadly aware of the tragic accident with a group of paddleboarders on the river where the weather had changed, and it caused sadly 3 deaths and 1 critically injured. So today I just want to talk about water safety, how to keep safe when you're out, because as a paddle sport instructor at Paddleboarding, it is part of my job and duty of care to kind of help people that don't know what water is like to get on it safely, get into the sports but safely, and hopefully at least limit the amount of times that tragic incidents like this Saturday happen. Now, part of being on the water is the power of water is very strong. 1 kilogram of water, 1 litre of water is equivalent to 1 kilogram. So when you've got a cubic metre of water, which is quite a few litres, it's about 100 litres or something like that, if I remember correctly. But when you've got that, 1,000 litres, but when you've got that a fifth out in front of you, that's a whole ton of water hitting you, and that's only a cubic metre. That's quite small, and that's a lot of pressure. If you get hit by a ton, you will be at least knocked sideways. But anyway, I'm not wanting to go into the science of it. I'm just wanting to go over a couple tips on how to keep safe on the water, what to do and what not to do, how to let your friends know where you're going, where all your kind of like emergency ideas also go, so they know where to get help sent to you if the worst case scenario does happen and you cannot easily be found. Now, as a paddle sport instructor, that covers paddleboarding, kayaking and canoeing. I'm mainly focusing towards kayaking and paddleboarding at this point in time, just because canoeing is, you've got slightly more stable boats, although it still apply if you're swimming in rivers, it will still apply if you're swimming in the sea, kayaking, paddleboarding, canoe, whatever, it still applies. But I'm mainly focusing around kayaking and paddleboarding, as they are lightweight craft that are easily turned over, tipped over, all of that, especially on rivers where you can get up shallower and other things. The first main tip is let someone know what you're doing and where you're going. So say I was going from a local beach, Stackpole Quay, let's say, and I want to go down to Broadhaven South. That's across 2 headlands and there is a bit of tide. So I'm going to go along and tell at least 2 different people that aren't necessarily connected together. So like maybe someone, you can tell like one friend and your parents or something like that. Tell them where you're going, what time you will message them by to say you're back in on dry land, safe. So then they know, like if they haven't had a message at that point in time, they need to call the Coast Guard to get you help because you haven't returned by that time. But when you're doing that, you need to plan. You need to go, right, if something happens and I can't get past the headland to get back to Stackpole Quay, I can go into Barfundle and wait in Barfundle, or I can go into Barfundle and walk across the cliff if it needs it until I get signal, and let the, safeguarding people know where you have gone. And this is important because it can save lives. It has saved lives before and it's highly important. Secondly, never ever ever go alone. Always go preferably in 3s or more, because then you've got more chance of helping each other out if you get stuck. So say if 2 of you go in, at least hopefully there's one of them that is able to at least call for help or similar. Thirdly, do not go against your limits. As in, if you look at the water and you go I don't think I'm able to do that. I don't know whether I know how to do that. Or even if you're just slightly unsure, have that doubt in your mind, don't do it. Keep safe and keep alive. It is highly important. Especially if you're out on the rivers and tidal rivers, especially like Clydau River, that is a highly tidal river. And it can change quickly. You can be going from slack tide to quite a fast moving tide going out and in. And that can be quite dangerous and can't always see the currents until it's too late. And next as well, the most important thing I can ever ask is you wear a buoyancy aid or a life jacket. Preferably a buoyancy aid if you are kayaking or paddleboarding, as you are going to be getting wet and you are quite possibly going to be going in the water. So wear that, or a life jacket. If you're on a boat, wear a life jacket or even a buoyancy aid. But remember, buoyancy aids are there as an aid to your buoyancy, and life jackets are there as a lifesaver. So just remember that they're there for you. They're there to aid you and help you. And sadly, stuff still can happen, but please wear the safety things when you have them. And also with your paddleboards, you've got those leashes on the paddleboards. Please have that connected to you, because that will mean that if you do fall off, your paddleboard will not float away. It'll make it a lot easier to get help if you need help as well. If you're with your boat, or if you're on a kayak or something like that, hold onto your boat, and then they can easily spot you, and it helps aid your buoyancy again. Always be safe when you go out to the water, and just make sure that you know where you're going. You know what you're doing, at least 2 people know what you're doing, and that you're in a group of 3 or more for your own safety and others. But you've also got to remember, like, if you get into difficulty, and emergency services have to come out in whatever conditions that is, whether that's nice calm waters or whether that is stormy, flooded river levels, they have to still come out and save you, or at least try their best. So please do not put people in danger. Keep yourself safe and keep others safe. Now, I apologise again for this being quite a long wait to have, but it's important that I got this right, and that this is something that is close to my heart. I don't want to be seeing more people getting into danger with the sport that I am trained to get people into. So please stay safe, stick by the safety guidelines. If you go to RNLI or Canoe Wales or British Canoeing, all of which have safety tips on their websites, I'll put Canoe Wales and RNLI's web links in the description so you can go and check it out. If you have any questions about safety or stuff, please drop me an email or message, and I'll be very happy to talk to you and help advise you on the safer ways to do stuff. Or of course, you can contact your local activity centres or even places like paddleboarding, and they would also be happy to advise on safety, because we want you to be able to have fun, get out and enjoy the nature, enjoy water, enjoy being out on it, all the floating, all the fun that you can have, seeing kids laugh and all of that. We want you to enjoy that, but we also want you to be safe. So anyone that, like hire centres, you've got up in Dale and Pembrokeshire, you've got Dale Sailing and all of that, you've got Paddle West in Pembroke, and all of which, most of them on Facebook. Just drop them a Facebook message, drop me a message, and any of us would be happy to talk to you and advise you on how to do it safely, send you some information, send you some links and all of that, because you coming back safely and still enjoying the sport is the most important thing, and we don't want any injuries happening because we have advised you to go somewhere. So please stay safe, go with people you know, go with at least 3 or more, let 2 people know where you're going, when, and where is your emergency landings if you have to go somewhere else because of currents, and what time you'll message them by to make sure they know to call for help if you don't turn up at that time. And except that, I'm going to leave that there, but please stay safe on the water, guys, but still get out there and enjoy it as your hobby or sport or even a job if you're lucky enough to work in that sport as me. But stay safe, guys. Thank you for listening to another podcast. and I shall see you next week. If you have got any suggestions, please bring them in. This was also requested by one of my friends, Ewan, who was talking about it. He's another paddle sport instructor in the local area, and he had suggested me doing this. So please, if you have any topics you want me to cover, or any guests you want on the show, or even if it's you and you want to be on the show and have your voice heard, please let me know. Thank you.